Well, always good to start a live video that way. Somebody's happy. It's time for Garden30. Thought I'd talk to y'all while I go up here and hopefully the internet works. I hear it tick tick tick. Gonna end up working through some. Are you okay there? Sheepity sheep sheep sheep. Okay. You're just hot? If you'd let me pull those dreadlocks off, you'd be fine. Anyway, I'm doing my Garden30. Gotta build some accountability into my life. One thing I do is pull weeds. You can see the shades out here. Sheep are saying hello. Oh, it's you two hanging out together. I get it now. You're here. I can't see you. There's probably some way for me to see comments. Live chat. Hi, Tori. Yep, this is horseradish. It's like up to my waist. Got the green beans going. Those tomatoes are falling over, but I got cages. Garlic flour, bee balm. Anyway, I just start at half a row and I go, this one I did yesterday. It's the potatoes. That one I did the day before. Look, Swiss chard. It's really peaceful here this time of night, except for the part where all the ruminants are yelling at me. Hey, Clover. Clover Babover. Hi, Clover. You want to say hi? Anyway, if you guys want to hear about anything, just ask me a question. I don't know what I'm talking about tonight. That's perilla. Underneath that are some... Yeah, see, this is a problem. Oh, there's a sweet potato in the back. Hi, Clover. That's Molly over there. Molly can't be tamed. It's still afternoon there. Yeah, it's about, I don't know, a little after 5. I already ate some, ooh, look at that tomato. See this one? Because I did not get the tomato cage, I already have the problem. I'll deal with that in a minute, though. We're going to start with weeds. I sit on my milk crate, pulling the perilla. This stuff is evil. It's actually edible. It's not really evil. But once it starts, it starts. It's in the mint family. It's the biggest weed we have here. Looks like I got chamomile. Neat. What have you guys been thinking about today? For me, I'm still elbows deep in the Self-Reliance Festival. Kind of crazy. I'm glad you enjoyed that weekend live there. Consider the ant. If I can, I don't know how to really do live on this thing, so, you know, is what it is. But, okay, anyway, pulling the perilla. This is actually, I usually do this in silence, so I'm not used to talking while I weed. But I just pull one at a time. Sit out here. It's finally gotten cooler today. It was in the mid-90s. I'm thinking I need to get the plants in the ground. Yeah, look at that tomato right there. Training it up the cattle panel. It's always fun to see what ends up here. Now, right here is a plant I don't want. Next row over. But we're not worrying about that today, because this is how we get past, oh no. You can start seeing problems here. This is early blight coming on. This tomato, I probably should just rip the whole thing out. Anyway. Does the plant have thorns? No, it does not have thorns. I just can't remember what it's called. It's like hogweed or something. I think they call it hogweed locally, which if you know anything about plants and what they're called, you know that they could be called anything, right? Oh, does perilla have thorny stems? Perilla, no. So perilla has a square stem like mint, and it spreads like mint, and it's also referred to as Chinese basil, and you can use it in cooking. It's an herb, but it also, like, once you have perilla, it spreads like wildfire. And here it's one of the pioneering plants that comes. Like if you disturb the ground, you're going to get random perillas. They'll just show up. That's what they do. Then I have hogweed behind me. I'm just folding it over right now because I don't want to get the juices on my arms because it makes my arms break out in a rash. But look at these tomatoes. Like, if you look at my TikTok, you'll see some really healthy looking tomatoes by my house. This to me looks like it needs more nutrient. Tactical was supposed to have some rabbit poop today so I could do another round because, like, if you see how yellow these leaves are on this pepper, a week or 2 weeks ago they were bright yellow, but then I'm seeing on this tomato plant that's just blighty. Yep, hit that like if you're enjoying it, guys. This I got a question, Justin. Is this video monetized? Because I can't figure out how to turn it on without being annoying, and I didn't know that happened on this. Just wondering, because I have a super chat menu here, but I don't know that it's on or working. Anyway, I might start making this sort of a normal thing. I spent most of today, well, Mama Sauce left. So I spent this morning hanging out with Mama Sauce. See, even the Perilla's not happy with my nutrient balance up here. But she left around 9:30, so I got up, did some stuff, hung out with Mama Sauce till she left, and then had this really unique experience. Something unusual. You didn't get an ad, like advertisement. Actually, you can turn on monetizing, Justin, if you are an admin. So that's just a thing. I mean, not that it's going to do any good, but I'm trying to learn how to not hate money, as my friend Jack Spirico would say. Anyway, so I hung out with Mama Sauce, and then I had this unique experience where I was alone in the hospital. Well, BJ, thanks. Looks like it's working. Thanks for the super chat. Did that pop up on the screen, or am I supposed to pop it up? What do I do? What do I do? I don't know what I'm doing here. You guys are like learning YouTube with me. Thank you so much for that super chat. Or super chat post it. Let's see. Nope. I can add you as a moderator. Oh, it pops up. Cool. Awesome. See? All the things you're learning with me today. See, these tomatoes just don't look as happy as my wall of tomatoes. But this one can go up under here. See, this is what happens in the garden half. I realized that Nicole should have brought her trellising wire. Never fear. You'll stay up there, right? Right, Mr. Tomato? Sucker gone. I also pull the suckers off of my tomatoes. It's what I do. Yep. Chicken Hawk Farm said hello. Hello, welcome to the Garden30 chat. If you guys want me to start doing these, I will. And then I looked at the news, and I haven't looked at the news in, well, a week. So I didn't know what was going on. And do you know what was new in the news? There was nothing new in the news. I was actually completely amused. The only thing I saw was a bipartisan agreement, which is meaningless, for gun legislation. See, this is not a weed I'd usually pull, but this is elderberry. But it's trying to take over this space, and I don't really want, like, this is a little teeny elderberry. Nope. Pretty flower. Bipartisan bill, and the right was freaking out. The left was not happy about it. So I haven't found the language for it yet, but I went and I read summary, which was just a summary. And it basically includes funding for more security in schools, whatever the hell that means. Problem with more security in schools as run by the federal government is they're going to one-size-fits-all it. And that's not very helpful. See, this should not be down either. I need some trellising up here. I need my rope. Why am I up here without my rope? Here, you hold the rest of that tomato up. Yeah, good tomato. Thank you. And mental health dollars. And the entire bill, I think it was like some longer times on background checks. changes the age to be able to buy a gun. And the left did not get what they want, which is some sort of crazy ban. Yeah, schools will be more like prisons, exactly. That was my worry, and I've worked in those schools before. They were already kind of prison-like when I was there. That's not teaching the right lesson to our children, is it? Left didn't get that ban on assault rifles, even though we're not even sure what an assault rifle is exactly. Doesn't mean teachers can carry, no. I think what it means is more metal detectors and guards at the door. And we saw how well that works. That's it. So it's kind of a nothing burger. Until, I guess if they get in and go into negotiations and talk it out. But the other thing is, those bipartisan agreements may or may not turn into anything from here. It was the Senate, right? Wow, look at this elderberry. It's huge. And if the House doesn't agree with what the Senate wants, then we go back to reconciliation. And who knows what that ends up looking like, if it looks like anything at all, or are we just talking about it again? I don't know where we're at with this. Like, it seems like every time there's an eruption of violence, we go straight for the gun control discussion, rather than asking ourselves why. Why is a really good question to ask. Why is this happening? What is making people feel hopeless enough to go in and shoot things up? Instead, we gotta further whatever agenda we have. And I don't think the solution is to force people who don't want to have guns to carry guns, I've never thought the solution was to tell people who are well equipped to deal with that situation they're not allowed to. So I'm like a middle grounder when it comes to that stuff. I think that if we're going to be a truly free country, that we have to understand what that means, what the responsibility is. And sometimes that means not forcing people to do things they don't want to do. But only thing that matters is the Feds went up 0.75 base. Yeah, so interest rates went up. I was just talking to a friend. I'm really close to paying off my mortgage. And my buddy, I'm not sure we're buddies, but, friend, acquaintance, I don't know, from the Liberty Movement, Caleb Brown. Don't know if he still works at Cato. He used to work at Cato Institute. And he posted one day a picture of a bulletin board with a 0. And that bulletin board's 0 meant he had just paid off all his debt with his wife. And that's pretty badass, when you pay off all your debt like that. And I was like, dude, what'd you do? He basically did what Dave Ramsey tells everybody to do. And they had just realized that if they were going to ever have children and be able to pay for children, it was going to be a good idea to have debt paid off. And they paid off tens of thousands, maybe up to 100,000. It was a big number. It was under 100,000, I think, but not far, in a year or two, by focusing on increasing the income and decreasing the expenses and really prioritizing debt payoff. And I was like, I'll try it. This was shortly before I started my podcast, and I did something very painful that day, and I calculated up all of my debt, all of it. And it was a number that made me frightened, choked up. It made my stomach physically hurt to see how much. And I didn't even include my mortgage in that. Let's just be honest, guys. Mortgages, I did not include that in it. And anybody who's been to my house knows I live in a fairly modest place. This place was not expensive. To this day, it would not be expensive to buy. I paid, the agreed upon buying price was $76,000. And for that, with interest, I'll pay several $100,000 for this house probably at the end of the day, because that's how mortgages work. That's an important number to look at, by the way, if you're buying a house. So I had revolving consumer bad debt, and as I was starting to pay that off, I couldn't bear to look at the whole number. So what I did was I wrote the number of the one I was paying off. And the one I was paying off was a number I could bear to look at. And I did not do the smallest balance. I did the highest interest rate. And I did actually roll other credit cards onto 0%. The key to using that trick is not to keep charging the cards that are at 0. And eventually that first one got paid off, and then more got paid off. And now, years later, I've got about $50,000 in mortgage, basically, needs to be paid off. So what used to not be on the board for debt is up there. And I took a picture of that, sent it to Caleb. I was like, hey dude, thanks for the inspiration so many years ago. This is where I'm at. And that's my mortgage, is plural. One of which is at 6%, which just sucks. And he was like, you know, I'd just pay the minimum on that when you look at, he's like, Dave's Ramsey would disagree, but I'd just pay the minimum on that when I look at the current environment. And I was like, yeah, actually, inflation's outpacing my mortgage interest rate, the high one. And then he was like, yeah, and there are other reasons too. And it got me to thinking about how we always are encouraging people to pay your debt off. And part of that is because you need to build financial literacy. Financial literacy, I don't think, comes from one advisor. I think you need to learn how money works, how the stock market works, how cryptocurrency works, how investing works, how building a business works, how making your money work for you works, how easy it is to make money if you just concentrate on making money, right? All of those things. And it goes beyond just, you know, paying off the debt. You also have to build discipline. Something I'll have to admit, I flow in and out of good at that discipline. I'm pretty good at it, but sometimes I do something crazy like buy a freeze dryer. And, you know, he and I had a long chat. He's in a really good place. He lives not too far from me, really, in the grand scheme of things, you know, probably a couple hours. And I got to thinking it'd be kind of fun to have him on the podcast just out of curiosity, not to talk about what he does in the public policy world, but how he and his wife have, you know, built their life, the life that they want. Hello, Mr. Tomato. See, now we're at, you're going to like see a picture of my leg because I need both hands. So they've built the life they want. They've paid off a bunch of debt. They moved out of where they were originally living together and into another area, and they've started having kids. Kids are a whole nother ball game. And it's just been interesting to see his progression through all of this as just a former Liberty buddy, right? And, you know, as the person, he established a society of cheapskates. And every time we made the cheapskate decision that was helping us pay off debt online, we were supposed to post about it. And, you know, just make a joke and fun instead of austere. Because this is one other thing about debt payoff. If you're austere about it, you start feeling, I already finished my garden half, by the way, and it's only been 18 minutes. I got 10 more minutes. I've got 10 more minutes. You know what that means? I can either trellis those tomatoes up or I can go work on something else. Anyway, if you have an austere mindset when you're paying off debt, you start missing the wealth. You start missing the fun. You start missing all of those things. If you turn it into something fun and turn it into something that's more of a game and do things you really like to do during it and don't feel like it's an austere setting, strange things happen where you take more of a prosperity approach to paying off your debt and to getting control of your finances and to developing financial literacy. All of a sudden, it's a whole lot easier than it was. And it's fun, and it becomes part of your life. And that is what it is. I think that's kind of cool. And that's something that Caleb did. And then he reached out to other friends he knew who were paying off debt. And he had them start gamifying it with him. And that was kind of cool. And then they started paying off debt. And then they got other friends involved. And those people started paying off debt, and it snowballed in a very different way than the snowball effect that is encouraged. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. What I need are tomato cages. Let's do that. And I just think it's interesting how one person sharing their experience can get so much done without even the intention of trying to do that, right? This is fun. Like somewhere under here are tomato cages. I think a big old weed whacker just needs to come through. I am not putting all that grass seed on my garden. Yeah, just one person showing what they do. So when you're wondering, why would anybody want to watch my brand new podcast or YouTube channel or whatever it is you're starting, when there's all these other really cool content creators, there's a really good reason for that. And if you haven't started because you're not sure if people are going to watch, that's a piss poor reason not to start right there. Just fucking start. If you meet people where they are, if you can communicate with people where they are, they can get a lot of value out of what you're doing. And that value leads to their success, right? Phone's going to go in a funny position again. And when you meet people where they are, they really appreciate it. And that means some people will like totally only watch smaller channels because they're meeting people where they are. Ooh, you're going on the ground. Because when you start building something like a YouTube channel or a podcast or something like that, your situation in life changes. Oh, I broke you. Stupid tomato broke. They start getting more success and they start sharing the story of their success. And as they share the story of their success, they start doing better. And then they can still kind of remember where they were when they first started, right? But they may not be as relatable to you anymore, to new. So that's why you should start. And I understand I probably just glitched there. By the way, tomatoes in a cage. Oh, we got a droopy one. Yeah, let's see. You need to go that way. You need to go away from each other. Yeah. No. Oh, just broke that again. If you break tomatoes like this because you were stupid and didn't cage them till they were this big, it's okay. They'll grow new suckers. Yeah. You meet people where they are. They learn from you. You share your failures and your successes. They learn what not to do. And you may help somebody avoid a failure that they didn't know they were going to have. And you probably didn't know you were going to have. And that's why you do it. If you only get 10 followers and you help one person not have the same failure that you had because they saw yours and went, whoop, I'm not doing that. I'm going to try something different here. Then that is worth $1 million. And that really helps other people thrive. And helping other people thrive, in my opinion, is the reason we make content. Part of mine is I keep myself accountable. See, I'm having 2 tomatoes share 1 cage here. I'm helping other people thrive, but I also keep myself accountable because when I say I'm going to do my Garden30, here I am doing my Garden30. Putting tomatoes in cages because I got all the weeding done. The real trick here is I have 1 tomato cage left and more than 1 tomato. So which one will it be? Do you look blighty? You do not look blighty. Okay, it's going to be you. Then you have to like string the long tomato from the top. So if you've been hesitant, get started. If you end up with 10 listeners in 3 weeks and one of those listeners gets help or learns from one of your mistakes, shares that with their listeners that they start, that's a huge payoff. Okay, now hear this. See that blight? This is what's happening. Bye-bye, tomato. You're not even... When it's this early in the season and I have blight like that, the tomato can just fuck off. That's the way it is. In fact, Here's another one. I don't even know why I trellised you. This one, on the other hand, does not have blight. We planted aspirin with these this year, and I was hoping that would work. I don't know if we got aspirin on all of them because I wasn't here for aspirin day. This one's looking good. I'm not going to touch it, though, right now. Anyway, that's my garden half, and it went... Oh, I guess it's been half an hour, except for the video stopped and started again. Thanks for joining. You guys want to see my tomato wall? Because it's pretty badass. I was working on it today. I went to Self-Reliance Festival, was gone 6 days, and came back, and the tomatoes were about 2 feet high when I left. And I came back, and I'm going to show you what I had. This isn't quite what I had. This thing right here, this is my wall of tomatoes. It's taller than I am. My height is right here. That's my head. So it had bushed out and suckered out. This one's shorter because I broke it. They're up to my roof line. And check this out. We're getting tomatoes. I usually get Sealer stripes first, but it looks like this is not a Sealer stripe. So that's the wall of tomatoes. The other thing that was pretty cool is this one over here. So these went in after trellising day, and they're not trellised. So they're really long and floppy, and I'll be putting trellising up. There'll probably be a video about that. But this tomato was a sucker from the other wall that I just put a stem in this basket and threw it in there about 2 weeks ago, and it's developed all those roots. I trimmed it back this morning. I think, was it you? Let me look. This is the other one I did that with. That was just a sucker. And that's all the roots that have developed while I was gone. So I'm feeling pretty good about tomato harvest this year. And the aquaponics system's looking awesome. We've got all sorts of cool stuff there. Those are my thoughts today. The gun legislation is a nothing burger right now. The increase in interest rate. Oh, look. Tromboncino. Interest rate is alarming, but we all know that's coming, right? We're totally going to be getting inflationary environment. This is kind of cool. This is about to go. And because of that, we have to make decisions in our lives to do things that bring real value. For me, you know, growing all these sweet potato greens and stuff, that's bringing me real value. I don't have to buy food at the grocery store because of this. Because these little fishies in here and all the edible plants that can be grown around me. And then I've learned how to preserve them. And if you preserve them, yeah, sorry. That's just me not knowing how to use my darn phone. Anyway, if you preserve them, they feed you through the winter. And we're pretty close to having enough off the property to feed ourselves, except for I'm not sure about the green beans. What I'm looking at here is that this water level's awful. Awful low. It's been so hot here, guys, that this is my ebb and flow bed. I just manually broke it just to make sure that we would cycle again. That's a rosemary plant that I think Jenny brought over when I wasn't here, and it didn't get water, and it was 100 degrees, so I'm not sure it's going to live. So I decided to soak its roots overnight, put it back in soil, trim it back, and see what happens. But I think we killed it, unfortunately. It's added up to rosemary plant number 435 that I have killed since getting here. Okay, now we're going to check on things. This is the time of day where we're like, what needs water topping off? Hillside garden's getting a little grown. Got some weedy things. More perilla! Gonna get rid of, I hate perilla. I used to not hate perilla. Now I hate perilla. But I'm gonna top off this aquaponics system. I've got hose spaghetti going on here. You guys ever have hose spaghetti? You guys are quiet. Anything else you want to hear about or see? It's amazing how much you get done in 30 minutes, isn't it? And then the other thing that happens is once you get on that like train of it, it's like, okay, I'll do 35 and top the aquaponics system because it totally needs it. I'm guessing that my pump needs cleaning. Let's look at that. Yeah. You're looking, how about now? Yep. It's got some algae on it. There we go. All of a sudden there's more water flow. Amazing how that works. I really am blessed to have had friends put in this aquaponics system for me because it's really made a huge difference. Oh, look, there's a koi. That white one, that's a koi. It's gotten bigger, like visibly, since I put him in here. Whew. Well, guys, thanks for joining in. It's been about 400,000 degrees here. Hot enough to kill that rosemary plant in like 3 days when it was in a pot under my Taj Mahaler. Hot enough. We haven't lost any animals, thank goodness, except for one duck is missing, so we may have lost a duck. Kept the rabbits cool. We've been rotating the sheep through the coolest part of the property. A little microclimate there where it's 5 or 10 degrees cooler on that part of the property. And so far they're doing great. I was really worried about them the whole time I was at SRF as the heat went up and up and up. And we had them somewhere where there was unlimited water, so that was good. But man, it is August and June this year, and that is what it is. I'm hoping that we back off again for a while after we get through this heat wave. But last time this happened, it got hot, and it did not get unhot until mid to late September. Part of why Self-Reliance Festival next is on October 1st and 2nd. Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you did. We'll see you next time I do a Garden 30.